sending a messenger, please go towards the Buddha and please ask him that Venerable Vakkali is really seriously sick. So he's requesting Buddha to come and see him. So out of compassion, please go and see Venerable Vakkali. So he's sending such a message. So then Buddha, out of compassion, went to see Venerable Vakkali, and then going there, Venerable Vakkali was simply lying down on a bed, and then he appeared like wanting to pay respect to Buddha and kind of trying to. And Buddha said, no, don't worry Vakkali, just be as it is. And then Venerable Vakkali is telling, okay, Bhante, I am so unhappy, I couldn't see your body, your appearance, I am so attached to, I couldn't see you for a long time. Then Buddha immediately say, what's the point of seeing this filthy body? So Buddha didn't encourage that. Buddha didn't say that I have, actually, when compared with our bodies, Buddha has the most beautiful body. But even that Buddha didn't simply say, what's the point of seeing this filthy body? So, and always Buddha encouraged us to see himself through the Dhamma. So that is what happened in the Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta, for example, where Venerable Pukkusati, he heard Buddha's teaching and he was far away from where Buddha was. And then after hearing Buddha's teaching, he was so happy and he started practicing, and now he wanted to immediately become a monk. So he was actually a king. So he got the message from one of his good friend, that is the King Bimbisara. And then after he received the message from King Bimbisara, he started immediately practicing, and he even attained jhana, and he wanted to give up everything and become a monk. Now he is going to approach Buddha, but he never met Buddha before. So then on the way, he couldn't reach where Buddha was, and he then stayed at one place, which is kind of potter's storehouse. So he was there, and Buddha knew that this person is approaching him. Then Buddha also went to that place, and then just asked the potter, is it okay if I too go stay in this storehouse for this night? Then the potter is telling, I am all right, but there is already, I have given it to another person, another monk. But if he is all right, then you too are okay to stay there. Then Buddha went there, and Buddha is asking from this Pukkusati, is it okay I too take part in reside in this kuti? And then Pukkusati says, yes, no problem. And then Pukkusati just start meditating, and Buddha also understood, okay, he's still not ready to listen to anything. He wants to stay in a kind of a blissful state. And Buddha himself did the meditation. And after that, Buddha is simply asking, is it okay if I have kind of words with you? Is it okay if I preach some Dhamma? Then Venerable Pukkusati didn't refuse. He doesn't know anyone who he is. Buddha didn't want to tell that even. So that is the beautiful thing there, where Buddha didn't say that, on behalf, and he actually questioned, on behalf of whom that you have ordained. And then Pukkusati saying, for the Samana Gotama. So Samana Gotama is my master. Then Buddha is asking, have you ever seen him? No, I didn't. Then Buddha didn't say that I am the Samana Gotama. That's a beautiful thing there. And instead, he started preaching Dhamma. So, as he preached Dhamma, more and more Venerable Pukkusati understood more and more profoundly the Dhamma. And he got Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, and at that stage, he understood now, this cannot be a typical person. Through Dhamma, he understood, this cannot be a typical person. This should be Samana Gotama. This should be my master. So then he came to the front and asked forgiveness for talking him by the name. So please forgive me. I didn't know that you are the Samana Gotama, you are the Buddha. And please forgive me for that. So it's a kind of a beautiful thing. Even you can see, even the encountering with the Buddha, he didn't want to tell that he is Buddha. He simply preached Dhamma and allowed the other person to understood Buddha through the Dhamma. So that is the kind of beautiful faith that we are talking in the Buddha Sasana. So So through the practice, actually, we are getting this kind of unwavering type of saddha, faith. So at the beginning, we are starting with very simple thing, kind of a love towards the Buddha. And as we go on, we too can verify his teaching. And more we understand deeply his Dhamma, we are basically removing our defilements. More and more we remove our defilements, more and more we are getting closer to the Buddha. Then we understand where Buddha is, who Buddha is. So then it is called the avekkapasada, the unwavering type of pasada, the present feeling, the faith that we are developing to the Buddha. So it appears ongoing thing. So it is not that we are having ultimately kind of tears. So that kind of faith is necessary at the beginning. But as we go on, it's a kind of solid, strong faith. Through the Dhamma, we have seen who Buddha is. So nothing to worry. So as we keep on practicing, this faith develop in that sense. It's a kind of based on the facts, not with just belief, but based on the real facts. We are getting the belief, the faith.
Venerable Bhante, when I sit to watch my breath, I can feel the in-breath very well, but the sensation of out-breath is not prominent. However, my body and mind become very calm without spending much time on watching the breath. Then I come to a stage of watching a white cloud-like thing, and time to time I feel the breath as well as some inner chatter. First question, is it correct for me to watch the white cloud effect while I'm observing the breath time to time? Second question, while walking and during sitting, my toes get heated up as if I'm keeping my foot on fire. As explained by you to another yogi yesterday, should I change the concentration to another section of the body or back to the breath? Please explain whether it is the fire element.
Yeah, as you continue in the Anapanasati breath meditation, so this kind of sanya, the signs can appear, but your duty is to be with the breath, with the in-breath and out-breath. So don't be hurried to see whatever the other things, be with the primary object. So later, if these type of things, signs, becomes so prominent, then it automatically grabs your attention. So you don't have to do anything. It itself will grab the attention, so you don't have to do voluntarily thing. But if not, if you are kind of in a hurry, in a kind of curious way, if you are disturbing the process, then you are forgetting the primary object. So you are kind of disturbing the process, disturbing the evolving nature, developing concentration. So you need to continue to pay attention to the primary object. And the next section related to the walking meditation, you don't need to shift the attention. So if you can easily understand now as the question says, as far as I can understood, so he is explaining, he or she explaining that he can concentrate as the sensations happen during the walking. So if you can feel that, keep continuing that, because it's a kind of an anchoring point for you to maintain the mindfulness. Because the walking meditation is quite challenging, so you might not be able to maintain this mindfulness for long times sometimes. It is good if you can maintain this for longer time. That is the development. But you don't need to shift the attention. So if you can continuously maintain your attention in the footsteps, right, this shifting, moving, placing, or that kind of thing, or simply left leg, right leg. So it's quite enough. So again, you don't need to hurry to go to another stage. I mean, like say, suppose you are starting with left leg, right leg, left leg, right leg, that kind of approach. It is not essential for you to shift to the other one, that is lifting, placing. So it, if you like, it automatically gives you an idea where you feel, okay, if when I am doing left leg, right leg, left leg, right leg, that kind of approach, my mind easily shifts. So I am getting too much distractions. But then you can try this lifting and placing, lifting, placing, lifting, placing. So there you have to engage your mind a little bit closer to the process. And even if that doesn't work, still you understood that the mind has certain shifts, certain distractions. You can try lifting, moving, placing, lifting, moving, placing. So in that process, you are dividing the whole process of one leg, the movement of one leg, to 3 parts. So your mind has to closely attend to that process. And again, you need to remember it is not that blindly we are observing it, but rather we have to keep our mind in line with the process. So it is not that we are having a kind of a relaxed mood. It is okay to have relaxed mood at the beginning, but later on you have to parallelly when you immediately start lifting process, at that very moment, suppose your leg is like, the flow is like this, say you are now the leg is here and you are about to lift it. So as the very moment you are lifting it, so you have to be, the mind has to be watch that. Mind has to be precisely watch this lifting moment, and then as it lifts, so you have to, as the leg moves, your mindfulness also has to parallelly go in hand with this leg. So then the lifting process finish. So throughout this lifting process, you have to keep your mind. And now the lifting process finished. Now the leg has to be moved. So the very beginning of the movement, and then the middle of the movement, and the end of the movement. You have to be very mindful. And now you are going to start the placing. So at the very beginning of the placing, the middle of the placing, and the end of the placing, you have to be mindful. So throughout this whole process, you have to be mindful. And you are taking this same approach to the sitting meditation, where you are not simply, at the beginning you are simply mindful on in-breath, out-breath, in-breath, out-breath kind of thing. But later on, you need to develop kind of a very attentive, very focused attention, where you are in the complete breath, complete in-breath, starting from the very moment it appears, and then processing, then we are following it throughout the in-breath, and at the end, that also you have to notice. So similarly, the out-breath. So in the Buddha's teaching, so Buddha explained in Ānāpānasati Sutta that Sabbakāya Patisangvedi Asasissamiti Sikkati, Sabbakāya Patisangvedi Passasissamiti Sikkati. So you are seeing the complete in-breath, you are seeing the complete out-breath. So likewise, you have to, if the meditation is growing, you have to now give more fertilizer, more support to that, so that you are getting more and more, you are getting closer to this process, so that you can get more and more details, subtle details can be observed.
Dear Most Venerable Bhante, the need for continuous practice was emphasized by yourself and also by Most Venerable Bhante Dhammajiva. I understand it is difficult to practically tell how much time is needed to be devoted to be considered as adequate. Would you mind to please provide a reasonable minimum required time per day, per week, both seated and walking mindfulness?
It's quite difficult to say. So I mean, if you now consider the retreat environment, so we are always doing 1 hour sitting, 1 hour walking, 1 hour sitting, 1 hour walking, that kind of thing. As long as you use the complete day, that is the best way. So it depends on your how much time you have, how much time you can dedicate to the meditation. But if you are to have a real progress, you need to find time. So that we can't do. That's where the dedication really happens. If you really understand the value of meditation, if you really understand the value of this process, so you need to find more and more time. So at the beginning you may simply have a try, simply giving a try for the meditation. But if you really understood, okay, this is the thing to do, this is the most important thing that I have to put time, then you need to give little priority, less priority to the other things and find enough time for meditation. So because every other thing, suppose you are making money with various occupations or whatever other business activities or whatever thing, so everything is fairly only going for a short period. So you can't carry anything what you are gaining from any external activity. So only thing that you can gain or you can carry towards another life is only the developed mind. So develop these good qualities. So whatever the given opportunity is a kind of a golden opportunity. That's why we are keep on telling. So don't think it has happened by chance. So you might have done a lot of merit in order to face this or to come in contact with this teaching, come in contact with this opportunity. So make use of it as much as possible. So I can't say this is the time period. So more and more time you can spend, more and more beneficial. That's it.
Avasai, the minimum is the maximum.
Correct, yes. But on the other hand, I need to say that don't get over-enthusiastic as well. So because sometimes when we are meditating, we get over-enthusiastic. So at that time, people might think, okay, I better meditate without even sleeping. So that is wrong also. So we have to give enough rest for the body. So I have seen that in one book of Venerable Matara Jnanarama Mahathera, that he is telling at least minimum 5-6 hours of sleeping has to be given for this body. So don't think that sleeping is a waste of time. You need to give enough time enough resting for the body. So then only it gets fresh. Actually, the having a good sleep rejuvenate your mind. So it is necessary to give enough rest. And again, when you are doing meditation, 1 hour sitting, 1 hour walking, that also giving kind of a balance in the approach. So rather than doing it 4 hours continuous sitting, better do 1 hour sitting, 1 hour walking, 1 hour sitting, 1 hour walking. That way you can maintain a balanced approach. So I think so these things you yourself have to investigate what is the proper amount that is most suited for you.
Second question from the same person. Ability to be mindful was stated as an indication of achieving some level of soan. Would you be kind enough to verify this and elaborate a little more on this, please?
Sorry, can you repeat the first part?
The ability to be mindful was stated as an indication of achieving some level of soan.
Some level of soan. The ability of concentration.
Ability to be mindful was stated as an indication of achieving some level of soan.
Some level of soan. So we are misusing this word of the attainments. So the mindfulness, say not only mindfulness. So Buddha is explaining various kind of good qualities, starting with, if you can remember, 37 Bodhipakhiya Dhammas, starting with 5 faculties that comes with Saddha, Viriya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya. So Saddha is the faith, Viriya is the effort, Sati the mindfulness, Samadhi is the concentration, Panya is the wisdom. So it is not just Sati. So Sati is the forerunner, kind of the predominant factor which encouraging, which is balancing various other things. But faith also increasing, effort also not really increasing, but effort kind of, you understand the balance between the faith and the effort and the concentration, how to balance these faculties. and then the wisdom also increasing. So it's a kind of combination of all these things. So we can't say that a person who has attained Sotapanna only has mindfulness. So it is not so. So he has to have all these attributes, all these qualities. So with different levels. So in Dhamma it is explained that some people go faith as the predominant factor. It's sometimes called as Saddhanusari. And then there's another one called keeping wisdom as the predominant factor. So likewise, there are differences between the people who are approaching, people who are practicing, but ultimately the understanding will be very much the same. So we are, it is like now, say for example, in the school, say when we are learning, so we have various subjects. So we have to develop or rather study all the subjects. So if it is not only the mathematics, it's not only the whatever the science or whatever agriculture or whatever thing, but we have to pay attention to various things. So gradually all these things we are developing, we are understanding. Similarly, so when we are keeping faith or rather the mindfulness as the most important thing, so it will show us, okay, at the moment you need to develop little bit more faith. At the moment you are stuck in effort, so you need to develop effort. At the moment your concentration is not enough, so you are being more and more mindful so that your concentration will improve. And as we go on, you will develop wisdom as well. So wisdom, in order to develop, it's a matter of practicing, not by reading. Reading can simply give a kind of a rational understanding, but the real wisdom, as we discussed during the last Dhamma talk, wisdom is given in the Panchapadhaniyanga. Buddha says, okay, it's the Udayatta Gamaniya Panyaya Samannagata. So as we continue this practice, ultimately, not really ultimately, that we are tapping to that area. That once we understood the what you call the individual characteristics. If I were to come back to the practice, now say you are starting looking at the breath. Now at the beginning it's very simple way we are starting. Okay, we are being simply mindful about in breath, simply mindful about out breath, in breath, out breath. We are starting like that, and then later on we are more and more mindful. So we are trying to capture the very beginning, very starting point of the in breath, and then keeping the attention towards the throughout the process of in breath, and then completion of the in breath, cessation of the in breath. Now you are going to the out breath. So we are keep on trying to capture the starting point of the out breath and keep in line with the out breath, complete process, and then the cessation, the end. So likewise we are keeping that. So as we keep this kind of attention, so our this in breath, out breath differentiation diminish. We couldn't recognize at that time whether it is in breath or whether it is out breath. It becomes subtler and subtler. So at that time, mostly different real characteristics, natural characteristics going to appear. It may appear like kind of heat, kind of cold, stiffness, movement, vibrations. So those kind of natural characteristics or individual characteristics going to appear. On those subtle characteristics also, we have to see the very beginning, the middle, the end. So as we keep going on, then we understand, okay, when we are seeing that very beginning, the middle and the end, so we understand, okay, it is arising and again it's passing away. It's arising, it is passing away. It is arising, it is passing away. Now it is not common, not just for the breath, but only rather this particular coldness or hot, this heat or this vibration is not only to that, to anything, to any kind of real natural characteristics. This is the common characteristic. So it has a starting and then it's a finishing, rising rather, beginning and end. So as you keep on looking at these characteristics, this knowledge knowledge towards the arising and passing away develops. So that is the kind of wisdom that Buddha is talking. So it is the one going to lead more and more thorough understanding about the Dhamma. So towards that actually we have to practice. So whether this is a Sotapanna or Anagami, so it's an irrelevant question. So it is, I don't know, actually I can remember Venerable Bhante used to give a nice example. So when you are practicing, he used to recite a song telling kind of, because this practitioner don't know where he is. So it's giving a nice simile. So there's a nice song by Nanda Malini. So the Sinhala crowd might know. So it goes on like a Sinhala song. Now there's one mother has seen her daughter going in front of the mirror. So and she's looking at the mirror and seeing herself, whether she's beautiful or not. And this mother is telling to this daughter, don't look at the mirror. You are beautiful. You don't need to know whether you are beautiful or not. If you can remember the song, Pipunu Malaka Ruwa, something like that. So it's a beautiful simile that our Bhante is telling us. So the practitioner really don't know where he is, but he is continuing practice, but he is progressing. So it's a nice thing. This daughter doesn't need necessary to know that she's beautiful. She's really beautiful. So it's a nice thing. So similarly, if you are trying to verify, is I am a Sotapanna, is I am Anagami, I am a Arahant. So this is kind of result-oriented mind. It's a kind of business approach. So that is what Bhante used to say. It's supply and demand methodology. So we can't apply this. We can't use this technique in our practice. So if more and more we are bothering about that, more and more we are reflecting, then we are incoming thoughts. Then we are encouraging doubts. It is not going to help. Rather, if we simply have a beginner's mind, if we faithfully practice, that is more than enough.
This retreat requires participants, yogis, to observe the 8 precepts. However, I am aware of individuals from different faiths with not much understanding of this. In case such individuals wish to attend the retreat, can they be accommodated without having to observe 8 precepts? Of course, they would be obliged to behave within expected moral and spiritual behaviors. Making it compulsory might be an issue for those practitioners.
So as a kind of a present rules and regulations, so whoever is coming, unless he or she is a 10 precept nun or 10 precept samanera bhikkhu, so all the other people are considered as lay people. And so we ask them to observe minimum 8 precepts. So that's a kind of dedication, kind of a preparation that we are doing in terms of the morality side. So we need to have this moral restraint, then we are working towards the concentration, then the wisdom can arise. So, but if someone is coming from a different faith, say someone who is believing in Christianity, and someone who is believing in he's a Muslim. So if he likes to attend the retreat, so we are not imposing any kind of restriction. So we are welcoming them, and you can probably have a private conversation with Bhante. Actually, I can remember one time one father came. He's a Christian father. Came to the upper monastery, and I were to give him 8 precepts. But he was quite flexible enough to ask me what are the meaning of these precepts. So these precepts are not kind of binding things you to Buddhism. It is not that. So now the first precept, for example, so we are refraining from killing animals. So you can see it's a very practical thing as human beings that we can practice. We have to practice. And the other one, we are not stealing. The next one, the third one, kind of living as a celibate people for this period of time. And then the fourth one, we are avoiding lying. The fifth, not using any alcohol or any kind of such thing. And then not eating afternoon. And then not using luxury chairs, beds, that type of thing. So all these things are very natural, very, So those, I can't consider them as rules even. So those are very basic things as human beings that we need to adhere to, which really beneficial for ourselves, beneficial for our growth. So this father who actually I encountered, he willingly accepted it and he observed it. So he didn't question, he didn't oppose it, telling, okay, if I can't be a Buddhist or something like that. He's a really practicing father, Christian father. But he understood, okay, they are giving this kind of a guideline, so I better surrender to that. So he honestly accepted it. So similarly, if someone is coming for the retreat, so we can convince him. So these are not kind of imposed rules, but rather preparing a kind of a peaceful environment, peaceful mental environment, so that you can maintain kind of a calmness, maintain kind of a relaxed mood, which is more conducive for the practice. So if the person can be convinced, then better he observe these 8 precepts, because that is the kind of minimum that we are giving for a retreat environment.
No more questions, Bhante.
Okay, so all the written questions are finished. So if you have any other question.
Bhante, yesterday somebody asked when the mind is following the train of thoughts. I think they were saying something about they're an actor in a play and things like that. They're playing the role and then they're observing and so on. And you said to come back to the breath, or come back to the primary object, I believe is what you said. But Bhante Dhammajiva had said, when we come back to the primary object, it's giving rise to doubt, or in other words, if we know that the mind is jumping, go with it, but only come back to the breath when we're not sure where we are?
Oh, yeah. So that's why I was telling, it depends on where you are in your practice. So that's what I was telling, it depends on circumstances. Then she again questioned me, what did you mean by circumstances? So then again I have explained. So you need to understand how, whether you are grown enough, whether you are strong enough to maintain mindfulness while the inner chatter is going on, while the distraction is going on. So if you know now mind is at a distracted object, not with the primary object, but with something else. But if you really know, if you are mindfully aware of that, then no harm. But if you are not sure, so you have the primary object, so immediately you can come back to the primary object because you have doubts. Still your mind is wavering, you are kind of troubled. So then you better come back to the primary object, that is the safe place. But if you are matured enough, you are strong enough, the mindfulness is strong enough, so you are not troubled. You know now the mind is not with the primary object, but with thoughts, but with pain, but with some other thing. But you are mindful about it. And you are simply seeing what the kind of proliferation going on in the mind, and you are mindfully aware of it, so that you are not being carried away by the thoughts. Instead, you are simply watching the drama as a viewer, as a spectator. So if you can maintain this kind of mindfulness, good. So it is not necessary for the yogi to be with the breath forever. So breath is a kind of a mechanism giving for the beginners in order to develop mindfulness, in order to develop concentration. So, and again, we have to keep it aside as we go on, but whenever necessary, we are ready to switch back. It is not a kind of falling down, but always we have this for the verification. Whenever the arising of doubts happen, then we can come back to the primary object. Whenever mind is wavering, again we are coming back to the primary object. So, but when we are confident, so we can get these distractions themselves as the object of meditation. So yesterday I have explained that when the mind encounters lustful thought, if the mindfulness is developed, for this particular yogi, this lustful thought becomes an object. When the mind is going through some hatredful thought, so this hatred mind becomes an object of meditation in the Chittanupassana level. But for that to happen, we need to have kind of a developed mindfulness. Otherwise, in these thoughts, while they are going on, we might be absorbed to it. We might get caught to them. So if we can have a distance observation, if we can maintain distance observation, then these thoughts will be an object of meditation.
Can I ask one quick thing in something you said yesterday? You said when we straighten up, if the body is slouched and we straighten up, that's the air element.
Uh-huh.
And Bhante had said the Buddha verified that the air element is the most prominent of the four elements. So, and this is why we take this as our primary object. Mm-hmm. But is it the air element that's kind of dominating our consciousness, that it kind of naturally straightens us up?
No, actually, we can't say the consciousness, because consciousness is in the one side, these elements are in the body side. So, but among the elements, so air element, for the most of the time, it is easy for the beginners to understand. Say, for example, this rising and falling. So, rising and falling occurs due to the movements happening due to the air element. But that is at the very beginning. But as we go on, this can shift. So, for one person, he might capture the heat element as the cold, as the hot, so that kind of thing. As another person, kind of rigidity, roughness, softness, so these kind of things. So it all vary. We can't predict which element going to be predominant today. So we can't predict that. So it depends on various other external causes. So whatever predominant today, based on today's circumstances, today's causes, many external causes, so one element will be more clear to us. So we may pay attention to that more. We may pay attention to that clear element. So we shouldn't have a fixed idea that I always have to be focused on air element. Then it's wrong. So they are playing their own role. So whatever appear, whichever is predominant, whichever is more clear to us, we can pay our attention.
Thank you.
So, any other question? Okay, we don't have any other question. So, we have 15 more minutes. It's 1:45. Yes? So, I'll pass to retreat organizer if you have something to say.
Venerable Sir, this is our last day in the program.
Yes.
And once everyone has finished asking questions, there are maybe some traditional things that we do at the end of a program as part of concluding ceremonies.
Right.
So when you are ready for that to start, if you can
Yes,
please
yes,
let me know.
I am ready.
Thank you very much, Venerable Sir. Much merit to you. Venerable Sir, I'll give you and everyone else here a very brief outline of what we would like to achieve or what we would like to do as part of the concluding ceremonies in the last few minutes of today's, of this retreat. We have invited a couple of people, participants, to give their impressions on the overall retreat and their meditation experience.
Okay.
There are maybe a few things that I will then like to say so that they can continue their practice thereafter once they leave here. Then, thirdly, we have invited Vasanta to give a vote of thanks, and she will give a vote of thanks, including, of course,